Hi, Dr. Patrick Jones here. Hey, we're getting some audio from my computer, Evan. Um, anyway, we'll figure that out. But do you hear that?
Yeah, I hear it.
That's fine. We're going to mute something. Lots of people would like to mute me, and I don't blame them. Anyway, just want to welcome you all to the webinar. We're going to have a good talk tonight. And want to give a hello to everybody who's here. Really excited to have you. And I have to tell you, I'm wearing my brand new Homegrown Herbalist t-shirt. You see that? Look at that. Homegrown Herbalist t-shirt. We don't sell them, but Evan made one for me, so that's fun. Anyway, anyway, we're glad to have you here. Let's just see what we got. Janie's here. We love Janie. I saw her the other day. She says, Doc Jones is the best. We use his products every day. I'll tell you what, Janie grows the most fabulous Brigham tea. She doesn't grow it, but she knows the guy who grows it up in heaven and where he planted it. And so she is she's like our primary, only source of Brigham tea down in southern Utah. So we really appreciate her. Christy says, good evening from Minnesota. And Nicole's from Minnesota too. Holy cow. We're overrun with Minnesotans. That's good though. I lived in Minnesota. I was a veterinarian. I practiced in Minnesota right out of veterinary school 100 years ago. I lived in Spring Valley, which is where Laura Ingalls Wilder grew up, one of the places anyway. And then we scooted over to Preston, which is the next little town over. But yeah, we loved Minnesota. Beautiful, beautiful state and great people. But all right. Oh, Karen's from Georgia, which is probably a better place to be from most of the year. There's a lot of Norwegians in Minnesota. And the reason it was settled principally by Norwegians is they're the only people on the planet who went to Minnesota and thought the weather was better. So they're like, oofta, it's warm here 3 months of the year. So anyway, yeah, but we did love Minnesota. Mary's from Tennessee. All the warm-blooded folks are chiming in here. That's good. Boy, I'll tell you, here in Idaho, it's been freezing and blowing for as long as I can remember. I would like them to get this spring thing figured out, you know? Oh, Peggy's from Alaska and Marty's from the Netherlands. Oh, that's fun. I have some students in the Netherlands. Morgan's from Utah. That's good too. I was just down there. I just did a prepper convention down in Sandy, Utah, and we had really good turnout, good people there. Lisa's from California. Good. I lived in California too for about 9 months by accident. But when I was a kid, we moved there, and but we only lived there about 9 months. Spent most of my life most of the years of my life as a kid in Iowa and Pennsylvania and South Jersey as a teenager. But yeah. Gary and Sherry are from British Columbia. Here's another one from Tennessee, Dennis. And Lara Bergeson is from Pine Valley, Utah. Yeah, we also want to give a shout out and a thanks to the members of the YouTube channel. Who knew you could be a member of a YouTube channel, right? But they make a little sweet donation every month just that kind of helps us do our thing. We got Denise and Lady D and Warren and Web Ferret. That's probably not his given name. That's probably a nickname. But look where you are. CJ Sapphire Singing Mama 81. But we're really grateful for the support, you know. And when you guys, you know, even if you're not members, when you watch our videos and you click like and if you subscribe, boy, that really helps us out. I mean, it really helps us because there's little robots on YouTube, you know, squirreling around back in the algorithms and wires and things, and they're looking for public response to the productions, you know. And so if people are watching and liking and commenting and subscribing and stuff, the little robots say, "Oh, that must be a good one," and they push it up higher on your homepage, you know, of other people. And so it helps us to do what we're doing, which really is to teach people how to gratefully and successfully use these astonishingly beneficial plants that God made for us. And we really appreciate your support and help doing that job. So that's really great. All right. Vinny's from Fort Lauderdale and Sebecca is from London. Brenda's from Canada. Christy, oh, she says she'll buy one, Evan. We need to make one for Christy so she can buy it. She loved the t-shirt. If you didn't see my Homegrown Herbalist t-shirt, we're not selling them. We just have a couple. Evan made them. But anyway, Debbie's from California. Sherry's from New York. And Rachel says hello from Maine, where we're going to get rain and snow today. So that's fun. Yeah, we've been getting wind and rain and snow and beautiful, warm, sunny days every day in Idaho for about a month or two. All those things in the same day, you know, the rain and the snow and the sunny, beautiful, and then it's raining and snowing, and then you have a 40-mile-an-hour wind come through, and then it's sunny again, and then it's snowy and rainy. It's just, it's like they can't make up their mind. I don't know what's the matter. All right, Kelly's from Colorado. Anyway, we're so grateful you're here. Grateful for your support and for your friendship and for your prayers when we need them. And that's, I mean, it means really a lot to us. So let's get started. And if you have questions, poke them in here and we'll try to answer them at the end. But I'm Dr. Patrick Jones, if you didn't know that. And I'm the founder of the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. Okay. And you can read more about that at homegrownherbalist.net. That's our website. We also have herb supplements there. We have single herbs. We have formulas. I don't know. There's a lot of, I don't know how many formulas are. How many formulas are there, Evan? 88. Evan knows stuff like that. Anyway, that we've developed over the years. And it's not just me. I mean, we have people in the background. My daughter, Lucy, is the general manager. She's a naturopath. My wife, Lori, just retired as a midwife. So now she's on board full-time creating content and doing amazing stuff for us. She's also a naturopath. And anyway, they're just, I mean, so many amazing people supporting what we're trying to do here. And I'm just grateful for all of them. So yeah, swing by homegrownherbalist.net. And we're going to have a little chat. We're going to chat about herbal cleanses. All right. And I'm going to give this chat in a loving way because I love you. But there are some things going on with cleansing that are not ideal. Okay. And I would guess that there's people that'll watch this video and say, well, I did that and I felt a little better, or I do that to my clients all the time. And, you know, everybody has to make their own decisions. But there are some principles of cleansing that are very prominent that I have real concerns about, and I'm going to share those concerns. Okay. And so let's get to it. So this is how to cleanse, and more importantly, how not to. All right. So in the good old days, things were pretty simple, right? I mean, we ate things and things ate us. And everything we ate was completely organic and all natural. You know, I mean, the guys 1,000 years ago were much more enlightened than we are. They didn't have any GMOs or food additives or anything. They were everything they ate was made by conscientious organic farmers. And we got more exercise, right? Because a lot of things we ate, we had to chase them or catch them or kill them. And a lot of things that wanted to eat us would chase us. And so there's a lot of good aerobic activity. So things were good. Also, the nature of the world, and believe it or not, it's still the nature of the world, we're just ignoring it, was set in place to give us a good cleanse every spring. You're right. And so in the winter, we'd spend all winter, you know, in our hut or our cabin or our cave or our yurt or whatever we lived in. And we would eat a lot of starches and fats and proteins because that's all you can get in the winter in most of the world, right? Unless you're lucky enough to be a guy in Jamaica. But if you were anywhere in Europe or North America, chances are pretty good you were indoors eating starches, fats, and proteins all winter because that's all that was available. And then we would come out in the spring, and what do we have? Lo and behold, the world is full of greenery, and it's full of all these amazing greens and flowers and plants and fruits and vegetables. And they were chock full of nutrients, but they were also chock full of fiber, and they were full of, phytochemicals that stimulated and supported our livers and our kidneys and our guts and our everything. And that's what there was to eat. And so we ate a lot of that, right? And it cleaned out all those fats and starches and gunk that we accumulated over the winter. We got all cleansed every spring, right? And that was great. These days, things are a little different, right? We don't live in caves. Our diet is not dictated by the weather, right? So we can eat way too many fats and carbs and proteins all year, right? We can drive through and get whatever we want at the burger joint anytime we want. And we can also get fruits and vegetables any time of year. You can go to Costco and get stuff from who knows where they're growing it, Chile or somewhere, and it's good fresh produce any time of year. And so there's opportunities on both sides. Most of us, even those of us who know better, sometimes lean a little bit toward the yummy fat and protein and simple carb side when we shouldn't. And unfortunately, there's the old saying, you are what you eat, right? And so, you look at this poor fellow. And I'm a little concerned that if I skinned a lot of us, we might look a little like this guy. But, it's not just the food either. I mean, there's all kinds of chemicals and dyes and preservatives and stuff in our food that is just not food. I mean, if you look at the typical food label in the grocery store, most of the stuff on that label you've never heard of, half of it you can't pronounce, and most of it's not food. I had a great conversation with Michael Tierra, really a great herbalist. This was really a long time ago. It was before I was much of an herbalist. But I had a mother-in-law that was very, very ill, and we called Michael Tierra and did a consult with Michael Tierra for her. And one of the things he said, and I don't know if it was originally something he said or if he was quoting someone else, I can't remember what it was, but it really struck me. It was very humorous and very true. And he said, the best way to be safe is to avoid the middle of the grocery store. Just stay on the edges, stay on the edges. Don't go in the middle. There's no food in the middle of the grocery store. It's really true. All the, the produce and the meat and the veggies are on, and maybe some good bread is on the outskirts, on the outside of the grocery store. And in the middle is all the processed, food-like substances. But anyway, that's always stuck with me. But, a lot of even our produce, but especially anything that's in a can or a bag in the middle of the grocery store, has got so much stuff in it to make it look good for a long time on the shelf, that it's really not very nutritious or good for us anymore. All right. And forget the grocery store. I mean, step outside and take a whiff. We live here in Idaho, in the boondocks of Idaho, and, the air is pretty good. But we were down in Salt Lake last week and Sandy all along the Wasatch Front driving, and the air was horrible. I mean, you almost couldn't see the mountains. They were having a terrible temperature inversion. So Utah, the populated part of Utah, which is the Wasatch Front, right along the Rocky Mountains, it's like a bowl. And sometimes the temperatures flip and they get these inversions. And there's a lot of large urban areas, Salt Lake City and Ogden, and, those are big cities. And there's a lot of exhaust and manufacturing and pollutants. And I mean, when they get those temperature inversions, it's just horrible. And we drove into the valley and we're like, oh my word, how do people breathe in and out down here? And our eyes burned and our throats were sore. And we're like, holy cow, this is horrible. And then that night it rained and rained and rained. And the next morning it was glorious. And I thought, oh, this is why people live in Utah. Because when you can see the mountains, they're beautiful. if we can get the brown haze washed out, it's really beautiful. And the folks are great. They're great people. But yeah, there's a lot of car exhaust and pollutants in the air. And I mean, forget that. Half the chemicals you're using in your house are bad for you, and your skin can absorb a lot of that stuff, lotions and soaps. And I mean, every single thing you put on your skin these days is full of chemicals to make it smell wonderful or do fun things, or be a good preservative and not get stinky in the bottle. I mean, it's all very artificial. And so there's a lot of insults to our body internally from our foods, through our respiratory tracts, through our skin, and it's a problem. So what do? Well, you can do a cleanse, right? We can do things to compensate for the stress, and we could have a whole nother lecture on what the stress is doing to us in this modern world. But we can do a cleanse, all right? And what should a cleanse do? Right, that's the first question. What's really the purpose? Well, the real purpose is that you should be returning your organs, your body systems, to their natural, normal function. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by giving them natural, normal nutrients and foods and herbs that are conducive to that natural condition, okay? You eliminate stuff that isn't food and stuff that's poison, and you feed yourself what your body needs. I've always said one of the mantras of my naturopath practice is if you give the body what it needs, it'll fix itself. I mean, we talk about us being great healers, and, I mean, I love to help people. I love to bless people and try and make them feel better, but I'm not the one doing the healing. It's their body. I heard a definition, and again, I can't remember who said this either, but it was a great quote. He said, a great healer is a person that gets better really fast. That's the healer. The guy getting better is the healer. Our own body is the healer. And so, a good cleanse should never make the organs or the systems of the body do things it doesn't do naturally. They just shouldn't. Excesses and extremes are really rarely beneficial to the body. All right. And that's the problem with most of them, excesses and extremes and unnatural things. And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. Okay. So what about all those great cleanses that are on the internet, right? So there's all kinds of them. There's all kinds of internet things. And we've been looking at them this week. And a lot of them, and I'm telling you, as an herbalist, as a doctor, a naturopathic doctor, as a veterinarian, okay, and as a pretty good harmonica player, I know stuff, all right? And the biology of what's happening and what these cleanses are doing is often offering zero benefit to the body. Nothing. And some of them are downright dangerous, all right? So let's just talk about some general errors that we see, okay? One of the errors is intensity and discomfort, okay? There's no reason on earth for any cleanse to cause you any physical discomfort. You should be able to go about your daily life. You should be able to go to work. You shouldn't have to stay home for a week and curl up on the bathroom floor and wish you were dead for 12 hours to make your guts happy. All right, you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to go about your daily life, your daily activities. Nobody should know you're cleansing, including you. All right. And if that's not the case, then something wrong is happening in your body. All right. Also, high frequency. A lot of, in addition to the over intense, issues and the discomfort issues, some people just cleanse too often. And some people promoting cleanses say that you should do them more often than you should. Okay. Honestly, and I sell a cleanse kit. All right. And I never tell anybody that they need to do it more than once or twice a year. I mean, I should tell everybody to do it once a month and make a lot of money, right? But you shouldn't do it once a month. And I got to tell you, in my naturopath practice, I've seen a lot of cases of sweet, wonderful, wonderful people trying really hard to be healthy, and they have some condition that's serious and hard for them, and they're cleansing every month, They're doing juice cleanses. They're doing oil cleanses. They're doing this. They're doing that. I read this one on the internet. I do this one, on odd months. And I do this one on even months. And I'm looking at them and seeing the negative effects of that frequency on their bodies and on their health. Okay. A lot of them are starving to death because they're doing cleanses that restrict this or restrict that, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. Do it once a year, maybe twice a year. Okay. But these weekly or monthly things they can lead to all sorts of unintended consequences and problems. The other error with herbal cleanses is they do them in the wrong order. Okay. It's very, very important if you're going to cleanse the liver, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because even that idea is sort of a wrong idea. Okay. But if you're going to cleanse the liver, if you're going to flush the liver out and increase liver production and support the liver's normal function, which is to make more bile and flush junk out, you better have a clean small intestine and you better have a clean large intestine. All right. Because if those organs are all gorked up and sad and mad and you dump all kinds of junk from the liver into them, well, now they're really sad and mad. Right. And so you have to go sort of bottoms up when you're doing cleansing. Okay. You start with the colon and then you do the small intestine. And when they're happy, do the liver. All right. If you do it the other way around, you cause more problems and you dump more toxins in. And the purpose of the colon, the large intestine, its primary purpose is to reabsorb fluid from the stool. Okay, that's the main reason you have a colon. And it's also very, very good at reabsorbing toxins from the stool. All right. And so what you want is nice, regular, frequent bowel movements. That's a good idea. So stuff's not laying around there, right? But you also don't want an excess of toxins. So if you're already, bound up and constipated and gorked up because you're not eating enough fiber and you haven't cleaned your colon out a little bit, and you dump a lot more toxins in, well, guess where the toxins are going? They're not going out the window. They're going right back into your bloodstream, right? So don't do it backwards. You got to do it the right way. Start with the colon, then small intestine, and then liver, okay? Otherwise, you're just putting more stress on an already stressed system. Okay, let's talk about some more red flags. All right, just things that if you're reading about a cleanse or something, if you see these red flags, run, okay? There's a lot of them that are really dangerous, these detoxifying things and these cleanses. And we're not going to cover all of them. I mean, this is a very short little presentation we're doing. I mean, we could spend hours and hours and hours talking about why this one's bad and why that one's bad. But mostly I just want to give you some principles, okay? So first of all, anything that offers a quick fix, that's probably a bad idea. If it's so extreme that they recommend preliminary steps to prepare you for this big thing that's going to happen, that's a bad idea. If there's a rehab after the cleanse, that's probably a bad idea. Okay. Anything that is intense enough that you have to do anything restorative and rehabilitatory to your body afterwards, that might have been more intense than it needed to be. If it requires a significant decrease in calories, don't do it. If it has you eliminate entire food groups, don't do it. Okay. And sometimes, I'll put a little caveat on that one. Sometimes, in fact, the only time that I do any dietary restriction is if I'm managing a leaky gut condition and trying to heal a leaky gut condition. I will have folks do some restrictions on some dietary things, but I'm not saying don't eat any meat and don't eat any vegetables and don't eat any solids, right? I'm just saying don't eat things you're allergic to, don't eat things there are problems, don't eat processed foods. There's things I tell them not to do. And if I'm doing a candida protocol on somebody, I'll tell them to quit eating sugar and simple carbs, okay? But I'm not telling them to quit eating. Yeah, don't quit eating, and don't avoid all proteins from animals, and don't avoid all whatever else they tell you to avoid. I mean, that's not a part of a healthy protocol. Okay. What else? Okay, don't put stress on your body. Any kind of a prolonged elevated stress levels are probably worse for you than whatever toxins they think they're getting out. Okay. And also, if they tell you to not exercise and not, just to abstain from daily activities because you'll be too weak to do it. Wow. Okay, that's a red flag. All right. Also, they'll often list symptoms and things that you can expect. So if they tell you you're going to have lightheadedness or loss of balance or extreme hunger or fatigue or anxiety and depression or insomnia or lethargy or headaches or back pain or diarrhea or severe cramping or constipation or nausea, if they tell you those things are normal as part of the procedure, that's a red flag. I mean, every one of those things are things people to come to me as a naturopath to fix, right? We don't want to stress the body. We don't want to stress the body out. That's not helping anything, all right? So if it's beating you up, if the cleanse is beating you up, you probably ought not to be doing it, okay? All right. Are you brave enough to look at some examples? And these are all common things that are commonly done. All right, we went on the internet and looked around and found, and there's dozens of each of these, but we're just going to look at a couple just as examples, all right, of some of the things that are being taught and promoted that aren't correct, all right. So first of all, let's look at olive oil cleanses. Okay, so this is a really popular thing, and and there's various ways to do it, and and there's things, but they almost always involve drinking a lot of olive oil and a lot of citrus juice, usually lemon juice. Okay. And they also usually involve a lot of fasting, right? So they say drink a lot of olive oil and citrus juice and then don't eat anything, for a couple of days. And they almost always involve potent laxative herbs. Okay. Which of those things is natural? Which one of those things would happen in nature? When in nature would a mammal have access to a large volume of olive oil? When in nature would an animal or a human, a mammal, take, significant repeated doses of a purgative laxative herb? I mean, if you have to do something like that to get your gut to move at all, that's a problem. Right? So what are the promises? Well, they say you'll lose a lot of weight quickly. They say it eliminates toxins. They say it gets rid of gallstones. That would be good. They say it cleanses the liver. It increases energy and vitality, and it removes debris from the brain. What? Okay. I don't know how they're doing the last one. And maybe they're putting the olive oil in their ear. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's talk about some of these things, should we? First of all, it doesn't do those things. Okay, it doesn't eliminate toxins. The liver doesn't store toxins. All right, it doesn't store toxins. So why do I talk about liver cleanses? I even talk about liver cleanses. We're not cleansing the liver. We're using the liver to cleanse the blood. Okay. And so if somebody says you need to take a lot of oil to clean out your liver, that's nonsense. It's not true. Okay. If you want to clean your blood in your body and have better metabolism and better nutrient usage and, get rid of drugs and stuff that you're eating faster, stimulate your liver. That's a good thing to do. Right. But you do that with herbs, not olive oil. Okay. Anyway, also, they make a claim that they're removing gallstones. All right, well, let's talk about that a little bit in a minute. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, these are the directions. And remember, this is what I'm telling you not to do. Okay, so don't print this and take it to your club and say, this is what Doc Jones said to do. It's what I said not to do. All right, these are typical directions. These actually came from an actual website. Okay, and reworded them so I'm not plagiarizing or getting in trouble here. Okay, first thing in the morning on day 1, step 1, take 5 capsules of Cascara Sagrada and Chaparral on an empty stomach. Okay, just kill me now, okay? That's horrible. The bellyache you would get from that would be epic, number 1. Number 2, Cascara Sagrada is what I call the believer's herb, okay? Because if someone doesn't believe in herbs, I can give them a little Cascara Sagrada, and in 5 minutes, they'll be in the bathroom, and they'll believe in herbs all day, okay? It's a purgative. It's going to clean you out. Not like an aperient, which is another fun herbalist word. An aperient is a mild bulking laxative like psyllium or pumpkins or things with high fiber, right? They move things through, and that's great. A purgative is explosive, all right? So you don't go to work if you're taking a purgative, all right? You probably don't go to the living room if you're taking a purgative, all right? Okay, so you take your capsules and you wait an hour before proceeding to step 2. And step 2 is to drink 16 ounces of olive oil mixed with 8 ounces of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Okay, you have to drink the whole thing in 30 minutes. Wow, that sounds good. That sounds fun. Step 3, fast for 24 hours. Okay, so you've taken the herbs, you've taken nothing but oil and lemon juice, and you're not going to eat anything else for 24 hours. Okay, and then for a week, you're only going to eat raw fruits and vegetables, and you're going to drink half a gallon of water every day. All right. No salt, no smoking, no coffee, no dairy, no meats, no dried foods or sugar. Now, I don't disagree with some of those. Some of those are good ideas. But continue taking the laxative herbal capsules twice a day. All right. So let's look at what happens when you do that. These are the normal side effects. Okay, 24, and these were listed on the website. This isn't me saying, wagging my finger at you. This is the guy telling you to do this, all right? Expect 24 to 48 hours of diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, headaches, gas, fatigue, and dizziness. Okay, so what is your body telling you when it manifests those symptoms? Huh? It's telling you that something's very wrong, right? I don't have enough nutrition. Something horrible is happening to my guts, right? And I don't have any energy. Okay. But don't worry, they say, because this is your body's way of telling you that everything's good and you're getting rid of toxic waste. No, that's not what your body's telling you. All right? That's not what your body's telling you. What your body's telling you is it's not getting what it's needing, and that it's under a lot of stress because some really weird stuff got put into it. Okay? All right. So, does it work? Well, they say, please do examine your stool. And these are especially good for people that don't have a hobby or a life. Do examine your stool. You may notice a variety of green pea-like objects floating in the stool. They're gallstones, which is a form of cholesterol, which comes mostly from fried foods and saturated fat. Be very pleased, for this is your main goal. You may also notice a lot of mucus and parasites. Okay, that's an actual quote. Now, as alarming as this is to you, I can't imagine how alarming it would be to your dog. All right, so make sure his water bowl's full, please. All right, but I have to jump in here and give a photo credit. This is Jim McDonald, who's a great guy, a tremendous herbalist, and a very nice fellow. I've never met him personally, like where we were in the same room, but we've had some back and forth about things. Always been great and positive. He's a great guy. Anyway, he wrote a really good article about these olive oil cleanses on his website. There's a link here. The reason I'm putting the link here is because I stole some of the pictures. All right. So thank you, Jim, for letting me steal the pictures, and I'm sending people to your website. Also, I stole this picture of him from the website. So he's like I say, a very good guy. And a more advanced herbalist than me, because he can pull off the long hair and the Birkenstocks, and I just never could do it. I don't like Birkenstocks, and I don't look good with long hair. So he's a little more advanced. I'm hoping to get to that level. I got the beard thing going pretty good, so we're gaining on it. But anyway, Jim's a wonderful fellow. Go read that article if you want more depth on this. So here's the things, the gallstones they said you'll see in your toilet. Okay, this is an actual toilet. This square thing in the picture, that's the bottom of the toilet. See all the floating gallstones? Wow. And then you have these other ones over here that they've, broken in half, and they broke this one in half, and they broke this one in half. Isn't that wonderful that you're getting all those gallstones out? Well, guess what, guys? It's time for a little reality check. And even though having a week of serious abdominal pain and starvation and digging furiously and feverishly through your stools sounds fun, it's time to kind of flesh out the truth. Okay, those objects are not gallstones, all right? And they didn't exist in your body until you did the cleanse, all right? They took a bunch of these gallstones to a lab to analyze what the heck they were, because guess what? The doctors had never seen them before. What the heck is that? It's not a gallstone, okay? And believe it or not, doctors have seen gallstones. I've seen gallstones. I've felt them in my little hands because I'm a surgeon, okay? You can't break them apart like grapes, and they don't float, okay? Anyway, they analyzed them, and they said, this is the quote, they said, we concluded that these green stones resulted from the action of lipases and gastric enzymes and fluids on the oil, the olive oil, and the potassium in the lemonade, the lemon juice. Okay. So if you take enough oil and enough lemon juice and put them all in your guts at the same time, your guts freak out, and your pancreas produces tons of enzymes to figure out what the heck is this stuff, right? Because your pancreas is the organ that gets rid of fats, and you just put 16 ounces of olive oil into your gut, right? So the pancreas gets all hyperexcited. And that enzymatic action and those two chemicals together make these cute little green marbles out of olive oil and lemon juice. Okay. It has nothing to do with your gallbladder or your liver. Okay. So this is what real gallstones look like. And this is actually real gallstones in a real gallbladder. Nice of someone to donate their gallbladder to give us this picture. But anyway, gallstones are rocks, right? They're made out of minerals, and they're really dense, and they're really hard, and they don't float, and they don't dissolve in warm water like these other little guys. If you put them in hot water, they disappear. Okay. And they're made out of calcium and bilirubin and cholesterol and bile pigments, right? None of those things are found in the floaty balls that the oil cleanse is causing to be created. None of those things. Why? Because they've never been anywhere near your liver. Okay. That's why they don't have liver anything in them. All right. So, and I don't want to beat these guys up because they don't know. I mean, you see little round things, there must be gallstones, right? I'm not saying they're lying to us, but they're incorrect. All right. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about juice cleanses. These are also very, very popular. And, lots of celebrities are talking about their juice cleanse and their juice fast, and they get really skinny really fast doing the juice cleanse. It usually involves drinking copious amounts of fruit juice or vegetable juice sometimes, and abstaining from all other food. Also, they don't eat any solid food at all, just juice. Okay. They typically last 3 to 10 days. And if you wanted to do just juice for a day, that'd probably be okay. Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't do it for 10 days, But a lot of these guys we say 3 to 10 days, but you can do this for weeks. And I can't tell you how many of my clients have come into me physically devastated because they keep doing the juice cleanse and it doesn't work, right? The first time I did it, I felt pretty good after the first couple of days, and then I felt awful, but I thought I better keep doing it for another week. So I did, and I never did feel much better. And so I did it again 2 weeks later, horrible. Here's the promises they give you if you do a juice cleanse. Improved hydration, right? It gives your digestive system a rest. Well, I think it gives your digestive system some stress. Improved nutrition. That's not correct because you're eliminating a vast number of the nutrients your body needs. I mean, juice is great, but juice is this much of the things you need in your body, right? Increased energy, even though they tell you you'll be tired. So I'm not sure where that one comes from. Improved quality of sleep. That might be true because you're exhausted because you don't have enough nutrients. Reduced food cravings, reduced bloating, and improved mental clarity. Okay. So now let me tell you this. I think fasting short term can be a good thing. You know, if you fast, you know, for a day every month or two, I think that's a good thing for you. And if you have juice while you're fasting, great. That's great. Do that. Okay. But doing just the juice long term is a really bad idea. Okay. And fasting long term is a really bad idea. All right. All right. Here's a typical regimen that we got off a website. Again, we've changed all the words and, you know, enough, not the meaning, but enough that we're not plagiarizing and getting ourselves in trouble here. Remember, this is something I want you not to do, not something I want you to do. It says down here in the bottom. Okay. So we're going to ease in and ease out. Remember I said that if there's a preparatory period and a rehab period, that it's probably a bad idea. Okay. So day one, salads, soups, smoothies, and juices. Okay. I don't mind that. Day two, soups, smoothies, and juices. Okay, we're missing some stuff there. Day three, a liter of orange juice and put some maple syrup in it so you can have calories and energy. Okay. The 10-day diet. So we eased in. Now for 10 days, we're going to drink 6 to 12 cups of lemonade made with fresh lemons, cayenne, and maple syrup. Drink as much water as you want. This will help you not feel hungry. Don't exercise. You'll be too weak. And then after your 10 days of that fun, we have the ease out, where you drink a liter of orange juice on the first day of easing out. And day two, you can have fruit and veggie juices. And day three, you can have raw fruits and vegetables. And day four, you can have your regular diet. And listen to this, but add lots of probiotics, because this diet wipes out all the bacteria, beneficial bacteria in your gut. I'm not making this up. That's what it said. Okay. And they are absolutely correct about that. I will give them kudos. Okay. Here's an important note again from the promoters of this. You will have to use a strong laxative every day to induce bowel movements, since you're not getting any fiber. And this diet has been proven to halt peristalsis. Peristalsis is your guts moving. So we're killing all the bacteria and we're halting peristalsis. So you have to take strong laxatives. And since you're taking strong laxatives essentially on an empty stomach that has nothing in it, and empty bowels that have nothing in it, they're just going to cramp like crazy so they can push nothing. That'll be comfy. 2 to 3 hours of intense cramping is to be expected. Really? I don't know why anyone thinks that's a good idea. But aren't fruits and vegetables good for you? Yeah, absolutely. Eat lots of fruits and vegetables, right? We don't need very much meat. We need a little bit, but we don't need very much. And we certainly don't need any simple carbs to speak of. You know, fruits and vegetables are fantastic. Most of your diet should be fruits and vegetables, but it's the fruit and the vegetable. It's not just the juice. Okay. It's the pulp. I mean, you can grind up 3 whole apples and make juice out of them, and it doesn't raise your blood sugar very much. But if you squeeze them and just get the juice, your blood sugar goes up a lot from the same critter, right? All that fiber and all that other stuff in there does important things. Okay. But yeah, they do. They contain a lot of vitamins, a lot of antioxidants, a lot of fiber, all kinds of things. They used to contain a lot of medicine until we bred all the medicine out of them. I've often said that if you took your kids in a time machine and went back to visit Henry VIII and had dinner with him, your kids would be begging you to come back to 2022 and eat their Brussels sprouts. Okay. Because the vegetables used to be way more bitter, but they had way more medicinal properties in the old days. We've bred all the good stuff out of a lot of them. Anyway, I'm not being anti-vegetable here. Okay. But I am saying that it's very dangerous to just do the juice long term for some significant reasons. Okay. So here's some of the problems with juice cleanses. First of all, it's not a complete source of nutrition. Okay, they don't have any fat in them. They don't have many proteins. They don't have any B12. There's a lot of vitamins they don't have in them. They have some. They have some of them. A lot of vitamin C sometimes, right? That's good. But there's no B12. There's no calcium in some of them. Some of them have a lot of calcium. If you drink spinach juice, that's calcium. Lemon juice isn't. But just having these extremes, of diet. If you just take juice, guess what your body does? Okay, it says, "Holy cow, there's no food. There's no food, everybody," right? So the next time you eat anything, guess what your body does? Because it thought it was starving. Well, it goes into post-starvation mode. It goes into, "Holy cow, I better put everything into fat because I might starve again pretty soon. Who knows what's going to happen," right? I thought everything was going great. And all of a sudden she quit poking food in the noise hole up there. And now we're starving to death, right? Your guts and your enzymes and your metabolic processes don't have any eyes and brains. They don't know what's going on. They just know there's no food. And they're going to fix that for next time. They're going to be ready. And so you switch into that starvation mode, that starvation metabolism. And when you start eating, and you might lose some weight during the juice fast, you might certainly lose the weight, right? Because you're not getting any calories. But when you start eating again, your body's going to turn a lot more of that material into fat. Okay. Just to put it away for a rainy day. Okay. Just be well balanced. Just take things slow and gentle. And if you want to lose weight, that's fantastic. Eat a lot of vegetables. Cut back on simple carbs and cut back a little bit on fats. Not much. Mostly simple carbs. And you'll lose weight. Increase your output of exercise a little bit. That'd be great too. But doing these quick, instant fix weight loss things is typically a pretty bad idea, and your body will get even with you later. Okay. The other problem with extremes of diet and with juice cleanses particularly is that it can cause some pretty serious imbalances in your gut flora. The guy that was promoting this said it wipes out all your gut bugs. Well, how does it do that? Well, number one, it doesn't feed them anything because your gut bacteria feed almost exclusively on insoluble fiber. And there ain't any insoluble fiber whatsoever in a glass of juice. Okay. If you grind up the whole vegetable and drink it, that's fine. I like that. But that's not what these guys are doing. They're just having a very clear, clarified juice. Okay. And what that is basically is sugar water. All right. Fruit juice is composed of fructose, and those simple sugars are not what the beneficial bacteria in your gut want. So they're starving to death. And you're feeding the candida because she loves sugar. That's her favorite, right? So you're beating the heck out of the good guy bacteria that do so many important things. I mean, they regulate your immune system. They produce like a very high percentage of the serotonin, which is the chemical that makes your brain feel happy and like you can get through the day tomorrow. A lot of that's produced by the gut bugs. They manage all kinds of super important things. They help with digestion. They help with the immune system. They help with mental health. They help with all kinds of stuff. And we're going to wipe them out. We're going to starve them. That's a good idea. That's not a good idea. Okay. Also, the other thing that sugars do, simple sugars do, is they increase insulin. Well, what does that do? Well, insulin does two things. It drives sugar into fats. That's one thing it does. Okay. It drives it into all the cells, but eventually the cells say, "Well, we don't want that anymore. Give it to the fats." Now, if that's all you're getting is a glass of juice, the fats aren't getting any, right? Because everybody else is going to eat it. But the other thing about insulin that's bad is that insulin is very inflammatory. The cardiovascular disease that we have in first world countries is not because of the fats in our diet. It's because of the sugars. Okay. We eat a lot of simple sugars. And as far as your body's concerned, a piece of white bread and cotton candy are exactly the same thing, right? You can't tell the difference. They all get broken down into glucose. Okay. Glucose stimulates insulin because her job is to get things into the cells, right? That's what insulin does, get sugar into cells. but it's very inflammatory. Insulin is very inflammatory. And so you eat a lot of simple carbs, your insulin level goes up. And, now your coronary arteries are all inflamed and mad because they're inflamed because of the insulin. And your body says, oh, that looks sore. We better slap some cholesterol on it. And that's why you have a heart attack, right? They did studies on the Inuits up in Alaska, the Eskimos, and their blood fat levels were through the roof because they eat fat. And that's all they got, right? They're eating fish and whales and seals. And I mean, they don't have a garden in the backyard. Their diet is fats and proteins principally. And their serum cholesterols were super, super high. And they have almost no heart disease until they move to town and start eating Twinkies and Big Macs with white sugar and white flour. Then they get heart disease, right? Because the insulin causes the inflammation and they got plenty of fat in there to smooth things out and plug things up. So anyway, so that's another problem with simple sugars and all juice diets. All right. So some of the negative side effects, and again, a lot of these are things they mention as normal for the process, but here's some of the things that happen, and they didn't mention all these. Constipation, right? Got to take lots of laxatives to get through this. Acid reflux, unstable blood sugars, dizziness, headaches, cravings, fatigue, malnutrition, muscle and bone loss. And the rest of these bottom ones are what the scientists are saying about it, okay? Diarrhea, they said that, and electrolyte imbalances. Juice cleanses, for most people, are, miserable and really not doing much good. For some people, they're very dangerous. If you're diabetic or if you have cardiovascular disease, don't even think about a juice cleanse. It's very dangerous, okay? All right. Let's talk about colonics, all right? So colonics are usually performed by naturopathic doctors, right? Most of the people that are doing this are naturopaths. And basically what they're doing is they're poking a hose in your caboose and flushing out your colon with really a lot of water, okay? And they say, these are the promises. They're flushing toxins out of the colon, which will boost immunity and enhance immune function. Now, is that true? Yeah, I think that's true. Because remember, getting hoarse here. It's weird for me to get horse. I was a dairy vet mostly. I mean, I did some horse work, but I ought to get cow, not horse. Anyway, would flushing your colon with water get rid of toxins? Absolutely. You bet it would. Okay. Because remember, and would that be beneficial overall? Yeah, that day it would be great, right? Because your colon wouldn't be able to reabsorb any toxins and you might flush out some junk that was gorking things up. Fine. All right. But is that a natural thing to do? Right? My perspective on everything, nutritional, medicinal, wellness wise, is how did God do it? Right? What was in the original owner's manual for how to take care of this body? And I guarantee you, it didn't have anything to do with poking hoses in places they don't belong. All right. So it does flush toxins, but it also, guess what else lives in your colon, on your large intestine? A lot of the beneficial bacteria. So again, we're impacting negatively beneficial bacteria populations. Okay, so that's a bad idea. A lot of people, here's some of the side effects people have. They have some abdominal cramping. They often have some diarrhea, some nausea, some vomiting, death, things like that. I think it's just a bad idea to combine biological plumbing and hardware plumbing, okay? And the reason is not because I think, water in your colon is a devastating thing. And, if it was something that was done rarely, it probably wouldn't be that harmful, honestly. But the fact is that you can lacerate the bowel with the hose. You can perforate the bowel with the hose, okay? And the guys doing this are not in a medical facility. They got their office in a back room somewhere and they're doing colonics. And, I would guess some of those guys are very careful and have a lot of experience, and good for them. But if you do perforate the bowel, you know, you can get peritonitis and be dead pretty quick, right? So I don't know. Is it worth the risk? I don't think it's worth the risk at all. Okay. And frankly, I can think of a lot of ways to clean the colon out that make the bacteria in the colon deliriously happy and don't have any risk of bowel perforation. Why don't we do it that way? Right? Why don't we do things from the other end and not poke hoses in the back end? All right. There are some instances where you ought to get something poked in your caboose, but it's very rare. And it only probably ought to be done by a surgeon while you're under anesthesia. You know, if he's looking for a colon tumor or something and needs to do a colonoscopy, you know, or put some contrast media in there for an x-ray or something. Okay, yeah, okay, we're going to have a hose in our caboose. Other than that, I wouldn't do it. Okay. Okay, so let's just talk about some of the fundamentals of a good cleanse. And we do a whole, in the school, and we did a paid webinar here a while ago on cleanses, the good way to do a cleanse, the right way to do a cleanse. Okay, and it's 2 hours long. Okay, so we're not going to make you sit here for another 2 hours, but I'm going to just give you some basic principles. Okay, some basic fundamentals. Okay, so first of all, what you want to do is you want to use natural, real foods, natural, real herbs in a natural, good, real balance. Okay, that's how you do a cleanse. You do it the way our ancestors did it when they wandered out of their cabin in April and got to work eating vegetables and weeds and flowers and plants. That's how you do it. Okay. Don't distress your organs. Don't do things that are painful and miserable and unnatural. They don't need that. That's not what they need. Okay. Don't limit real nutrients. You know, don't starve yourself for fats or proteins. Or fiber. Don't do it. That's a bad idea. Do things in the proper order. All right. And if you do it naturally with foods and herbs, that'll naturally happen. Okay. But if you're focusing on if you wanted to do some things to make your liver, do its job a little better, work a little harder and clean things out, and that's great. That's okay to do. Make sure your colon's cleaned out first. Okay. And there's ways to do that, mostly with fiber. That's mostly how you do it. Okay. And don't do it more than once or twice a year. There's no reason to do a cleanse more than once or twice a year. All right. And if you need it more often than that, something's really wrong. And let's figure out what that is. Okay. Your primary purpose and perspective should be to support those organs and to help them using herbs, using foods, help them do their normal job. That's what we want to do. We want to support them. Okay. And the other thing we can do with herbs, especially, is we can feed those organs and give them the resources they need to do that job. And in some cases, we can actually restore those organs. We can really not just help them do their job, but patch them up and heal them up. Okay, there's herbs like milk thistle and cleavers and chamomile that are liver restoratives. I mean, they don't just make the liver work harder. Everybody does that, right? Dandelions and burdock and Oregon grape and barberry. Everybody makes sure, there's lots of herbs that'll make you make more bile and flush things out, clean things out. Great. But there's a few herbs called hepatics. So the guys that make your liver work harder and better are cholagogues. That's the funky herbalist word for those guys. They're bile tonics. They increase production and flow of bile. Okay, which is okay. But the hepatics are the herbs that are liver restoratives, that actually heal the liver. You can about grow yourself a new liver as long as you don't have cirrhosis. Okay. And why can't you help cirrhosis? It's because there's no liver there. It's all scar tissue. Okay. And it's a good trick to heal liver cells and make them reproduce. It would be a very, very good trick to turn a cartilage cell, a scar tissue cell, into a liver cell. I don't have an herb for that. Okay. So cirrhosis that tissue's gone. Certainly you can heal and restore and support the stuff that's left, but you're not going to have the ability to regenerate like you do in an otherwise less compromised liver. And there's also herbs that can restore and heal and bless the kidneys. Okay, help them do their job lots better. And again, there's a lot of kidney herbs that are diuretics, right? That make you pee more. That's a good thing to do. Parsley, dandelion leaf, anybody green is probably a good diuretic. But there's also some herbs that can have some soothing, healing, restorative properties on the kidney too. Nettle seed is my favorite one. Romania chamomile does that too. There's several of those guys. Okay. Anyway, that should really be the fundamentals of what you're doing with a cleanse. You're feeding the organs. You're giving them things they need to do their job better. You're healing them. You're restoring them. That's a cleanse. You're not beating the heck out of them and screaming at them to work harder so you can curl up on the bathroom floor and wish you were dead from the cramping. That's not helping anything. Okay? That's not what we want. The best mindset is to nourish and support, not to purge. Okay? If the thing you're doing seems like purging or stressing those organs, it's probably a bad idea. All right. Here's a great quote that I love. Heroics are heady, but wisdom's work is slow. This is how both garden and gratitude grow. Okay. Take some time, do things naturally, do things in the way God intended them to be done, the way nature, if you don't believe in God, the way nature intended them to be done, the way biology intends it to be done. Do it that way. And the effects will be better. The results will be better. There won't be all the trauma and drama and rehab necessary afterward. And you'll get exactly what you want, which is a well-fed, well-nourished, well-supported, healthy body. Okay. So I appreciate you listening. We'll go through comments and questions. And I am going to have a shameless commercial announcement. That is, we do have an herbal cleanse kit at homegrownherbalist.net. And guess what? If you do this cleanse, you won't even know you're doing it. It's very, very much what we've been talking about all night. Okay. And there's nothing magic in here. There's nothing in here that if you take a spoonful of it and don't eat anything else for 10 days, you'll lose weight. Well, that's not true. You would lose weight if you didn't eat anything but this for 10 days. Anyway, that's not the point of it. Okay. There's nothing in here that's going to keep you from going to work. Okay. There's nothing in here that's going to keep you from playing with your grandkids or mowing your lawn. All right. This is very much an all-natural, nutritive, herbal supplement to your body. It comes with complete instructions on how to do everything step by step by step. And, I've had a ton of people do this over the years and they like it. And they say they feel lots better and it's not traumatic and dramatic and purgative and painful. So that's what we got. Okay. I would strongly recommend you look at this if you're interested in doing it. If you don't want to buy this, go out in your yard and eat a lot of dandelion leaves and go to the grocery store and buy some broccoli and eat good, nutritious, delicious, wonderful things. Lay off the simple carbs, lay off too much fat and protein unless it's winter and that's all you can get, which it never is in North America, right? Or Europe. And eat the things that your body was designed to eat in a way that it was designed to eat them. And 99% of what you need to have happen will happen, and take a good source of vitamins, because I'm sorry, but there's no vitamins in a lot of the food we eat anymore. They've bred it all out of them. So that's another thing that herbs can do that's fantastic, is they still have not only all the medicine in them, but they have the vitamins because they're growing in places that haven't been factory farmed for 40 years and had all the nutrients pulled out of the soil. Farmers are only putting 3 chemicals on their dirt, 3 minerals, potassium, phosphorus, and ammonia. That's all they get. They're not putting any boron or magnesium or manganese or any of the other bazillion micro minerals we need to live, But if you go up in the hills a little bit, the dirt has those things because every year everything falls back to the dirt. It gets recomposted, decomposed, recycled, the bugs and the worms and the bacteria do their job and turn that stuff into food for the other plants, who turn it into food for us. Okay, so herbs are a tremendous source of nutrients and medicine. All right, let's look at questions and comments. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to try and figure this out. Okay, so we had lots of hellos and stuff. Oh, wait. I have to go higher. I'm sorry. There's some things I can do really good on a computer, and there's some things I can't do at all on a computer. So here we go. Okay, here we are. We got Peggy at the North Pole, and lots of other hellos from people. Christy still likes the t-shirt, so that's good. If you tuned in late, I'm wearing my Homegrown Herbalist t-shirt that Evan got for me. They're not for sale, but they're fun. Christy says we need to make one and sell them to you, so maybe we'll do that. Okay. Okay, so Cindy says, I really enjoy your channel. I discovered it about 6 months ago. I'm not sure what this live chat's supposed to be about. I just got a notification. So the live chat is, if you have questions, poke them in there and we'll answer them, okay? Okay, Mary Ann says, hi from Missouri. Barbara says, hi from South Carolina. Cindy says, what do you think about primrose oil as a cleanse? You know, I haven't used it. I don't know much about it. I have used primrose as a respiratory herb for respiratory conditions. It's very, very good for that. I haven't used, if you're talking about the essential oil, I haven't used that for anything. I'm not really the expert on essential oils because if I touch most of them, I get blisters on my entire body. Okay, so I'm not friends with essential oils. And I'm not saying that to say bad things about essential oils. They're remarkable. We sell essential oils. Okay. I don't go into that room. And it's not because the essential oils did anything bad. It's because I did something really dumb. And I've probably told you this story before, but I'm a veterinarian, right? Been a veterinarian for 30 years. And I was working some calves one day in Minnesota. Hi to all the Minnesota guys. And I got some ringworm on my arm, right? And I looked at it and I said, oh, I got a ringworm. And I used to make, and this was eons ago, but I used to make out of tea tree oil, melaleuca oil, an udder spray for cows for udder sores, because tea tree oil is amazing for killing bacteria and yeasts and fungal organisms and about anything. And so I would mix it with water and put it, and I'd give it to the farmers, and if their cows were getting udder sores, they could squirt them and they'd get better, right? So I had tea tree oil in my truck, and I had iodine in my truck because I'm a vet, right? And I would always, you know, pre-surgical, I'd splash iodine on the side of the cow before I opened her up. Anyway, I had this ringworm, and I said, oh, I can kill that. And I got some cotton, and I soaked it with tea tree oil, undiluted, right, and iodine, slapped it on, wrapped it up with some vet wrap, got back to work, you know, and worked 8 hours. At the end of the day, I unwrapped the bandage, and all the flesh just sloughed right off my arm, right? Take home message, it's good to mix essential oils with a carrier oil so they're not as intense, and probably don't combine them with iodine. Write that down if you're taking notes on the lecture. Anyway, and by the way, shoot me an email at info@homegrownherbalist.net and I'll send you the slides for this thing if you want them. Anyway, my inside of my body got exposed to essential oils, right? Like my immune system saw them, not just my skin, but my innards, because of the nature of the wound. And so ever since then, my immune system's been pretty adamant that I not touch them ever again. And a lot of them have the same terpenes and monoterpenes and chemicals in them that tea tree oil has. Some of them don't bother me at all, but some of them, you know, I don't get close. So short answer, I have no idea what primrose oil does, But the plant is a very good respiratory herb. All right. Raphael says, can you recommend something for fatty liver? Absolutely. So fatty liver, in most cases, in many cases, is a reversible condition. Okay. Fatty liver is when your liver deposits fat in itself, which is a bad idea, right? Because you need liver cells, not fat cells in your liver. Okay. There's three principal causes of fatty liver. One is overconsumption of alcohol. One is overconsumption of simple carbohydrates and fats. And the other is bad luck. Some people just have metabolisms and they don't know why they get fatty liver. Skinny people that don't drink get fatty liver sometimes. But if it's because of, overeating or alcohol, then cessation of those activities will result in the liver being able to heal itself. I would certainly, at that point, also take some liver restorative herbs like milk thistle, like clovers. We have a formula called Liver Builder that would be helpful in giving the liver what it needs to restore and heal. But if part of the problem is too much alcohol consumption or too much food consumption, especially fats and simple carbs, cut that out, back way off of those things. And that'll make you feel better in all kinds of other ways too. If you're not having issues with diet and alcohol, I would still try and improve the diet and try and increase exercise and see if that helps. I would also do some liver hepatics, like the Liver Builder formula. Just go look at that formula and look at the herbs that are in there. You can make your own. You don't have to use mine, or go buy mine. That's easy. But I don't know. Rafael Arias might be somewhere he doesn't want to pay shipping for herbs for me. But you can look at homegrownherbals.net. If you live somewhere, far away, you can go to homegrownherbals.net and just look at the herbs in that formula. Those are the guys you want. Okay. Laura Bergeson says, do you find the lemon juice and olive oil cleanse for acute gallstones inappropriate? Absolutely, because it doesn't do anything to your liver or your gallbladder. It doesn't. It's not correct. Okay. If you have gallstones and sluggish bile, there are things you can do for that. There are herbs that can help that. But the way they help it is by increasing bile flow a little bit, by decreasing the stones and dissolving a little bit. So I have a formula called Gallbladder and Bile Duct or something like that. Gallbladder and Bile Duct, I think it's called. Anyway, so there's some things in that formula that increase bile flow a little bit, and there's some things in that formula that help dissolve the stones a little bit, but there's also things in that formula that lubricate the bile duct, like marshmallow, and there's things that relax the bile duct, like lobelia, which is a muscle relaxant. Okay. And so that formula, the herbs in that formula have been used for thousands and thousands of years to help clear out the gallbladder and help get rid of the stones. Now, I will also say that most gallbladder pain isn't caused by stones. Most gallbladder pain is caused by inflammation and stagnation of the bile in the gallbladder. And that the herbs in that formula would be beneficial for that too. Okay. All right. Sean says, greetings from Tampa. Hello, Sean in Tampa. Mary says, can you please address how those of us without a gallbladder should cleanse the liver differently? That's a very good question. It's a question I get a lot, Mary. There's no difference. The gallbladder is a little pouch on the bottom of your liver that stores extra bile. Okay. It doesn't produce bile. It doesn't do anything with bile except move it. So what happens is your liver is making bile constantly. Okay. And that bile is going down your bile duct pretty constantly. And what the gallbladder does is just a little pouch with some muscles around it. And when you eat something, especially if you eat something fatty, because the purpose of bile is to emulsify fats so you can absorb them and digest them, right? When you eat something fatty, your gallbladder gets a memo, right, in the form of a hormone, and it contracts. And that squeezes the bile, so you get an extra little boost of bile in your digestive tract to help with all that fatty stuff you just ate. Okay, that's all it does. And if you don't have the gallbladder, you still have the bile duct. If you don't still have the bile duct, get your money back from the surgeon, because that's a big problem. But you should still have the bile duct. And so if you do liver cleansing and, you know, and when I say liver cleansing, I mean liver tonics, liver support. Those herbs will still work. They'll still work. And I haven't ever had anybody tell me, holy cow, doc, I did that liver stuff and that was really hard on me because I don't have a gallbladder. I've never heard that. I've been doing this for a long time. So again, you know, moderation in all things. If you're doing natural things in a natural way, and you still have all the plumbing, you just don't have the pump. Okay, so it should be fine. Okay. Yeah, Raphael says, I have fatty liver with simple cysts and I'm terrified. I am so sorry that that's going on. You know, what a hard thing. What a hard thing. But do the things we talked about and see if that helps you. And certainly decreasing alcohol consumption, if that's going on at all, improving your diet, decreasing fats and simple carbohydrates, eat the way a hunter-gatherer ate, you know, that'll be really good. And take some of that liver builder, and that'll help your liver have what it needs. Okay, Pam says, I'm glad I read the article. Thank you. Oh, I don't know what article you read. I'm glad you read it too, and I hope you liked it. I hope even more that I wrote it. That would be good. But if it was some other article, that would be okay too. You can like those. Okay. Pam says it was crazy. All right. Oh, the article. Jim McDonald's article. Yeah, okay. I'm getting it. Yeah, good. I'm glad you read it. Jim's a great guy. You know, we almost lost him a few years ago. He's a young guy. He's got little kids, you know, and him and his wife and family were in Scotland. And he had a massive heart attack in Scotland on vacation, and they about lost him. I was really, really very glad to hear that he pulled out of that and is still helping and loving and saving people. He's a great guy. All right. Mary says, sadly, I tried this about 35 years ago and didn't get rid of my gallstones, but did make it necessary for my gallbladder to be removed. Oh, yeah, that's fun. I'm very... Why are we stressing the system, right? That's what we've been talking about tonight. Purgative procedures are a bad idea. You know, if the system's already stressed, if you already have a lot of inflammation and rocks in your gallbladder and you blast it with that kind of experience, you know, can you imagine how much bile got flushed through that system to try and deal with that, you know, quart of olive oils they drank? You know, it's horrible. Don't do it. It's not the way you do it. Okay. B. Rose. Now, this is Brandon Rose, Dr. Brandon Rose, who's got a PhD in physiology and is my son-in-law. I knew him when he was just a kid marrying my little girl, and now he's a PhD in physiology. And Brandon Rose, Dr. Rose, is one of our researchers. Okay. He has a real job too, but, but he spends a lot of precious resources helping me do what we call herb mining. You know, we're digging into the research and finding out really cool, amazing things that some of these plants can do. And he's really a brilliant, super guy and a great resource. Anyway, let's see what he said. Hopefully it'll be something brilliant after I said all that about him. Okay, something else important to consider is that fruit juices are as deleterious to insulin sensitivity as sugared soda. That's right. That's right. So drinking lots of juice has impact on insulin and sugar metabolism and insulin resistance and all kinds of other things. And it's just kind of a bad idea. Okay, Joe deleted a message. Dark Shade says, hey. Hello, Dark Shade. Okay. Oh, look, I'm making my button work. Denise says, oops. Okay. Denise says, what about people that don't have a gallbladder? Oh, okay. So Denise says, what about people that don't have a gallbladder? My functional medical doctor recommended ox bile and digestive enzymes to help break down fats. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't have bile, I mean, you have bile, but if you don't have a gallbladder to kind of give you that extra little pump of bile into your gut when you have a lot of fat ingested, taking some enzymes and some bile from another source would help digest those fats. Okay, it would make everything easier. So yeah, your doctor is smart. Okay. Kleiner Hote Hex says it's a fad, and just like all fads, I don't do it. If I choose to fast, it is a water fast. Otherwise, I keep my intermittent fasting. 1 meal a day goes well with me. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's exactly correct. If you're going to fast, and I don't have any problem with fasting. I fast every month. Okay, but I only fast for about 3/4 of a day. You know, it's not a 24-hour thing. And so I think it's a really good idea. I think, you know, and if you're not religious, apologies, but I think God likes us to fast. He talks about it all the time, right? But he doesn't want us to do it all the time. But occasionally I find that fasting, and I'm talking about a very short, occasional fast, I find that it's good for your body. I think it cleans things out. And I also find that it gives me a little more focus on things that matter. And I would guess that's why God likes us to do it, because we're instead of shoving Big Macs down our throats, we're thinking about other things, and maybe some of those things are important. Maybe he can get a word in edgewise once in a while if we're not so focused on food. Anyway, all right. Brandon says, never mind, you just mentioned the insulin thing. Okay. The Proverbs mom says all these side effects would motivate me not to cleanse. Good girl. That was the whole point of me doing this, was to help people think about not doing it. All right. Unless you're going to do it, like I said, in a natural, organic, almost imperceptible way by using herbs and eating right. Okay, that's how I do it. That's how I have my clients do it. And it's not infrequent that a client comes to me for a phone consult or comes to the practice for a naturopath consult. And I say, hey, it would be a really good idea to think about doing a cleanse. But when I'm thinking about cleansing, I'm not thinking about purging the body of junk. I'm thinking about feeding and supporting the body so it can purge itself of junk in a natural, normal, not very exciting way. That's how you do it. And that's how when I developed the cleanse kit protocol, that's how I did it. You won't even know you're doing it. You might have a little bit looser stool, but it won't be diarrhea. And you know what? If you ate more vegetables, you'd have a little bit looser stool. Okay. And that would be a good thing. All right. Okay. What about, okay. Yeah. Now she says, now comes the interesting part, colonics. And the proverb mom who said things she didn't want to do said, especially she doesn't want to do colonics. Judy says, what about coffee enemas? Okay. Coffee enemas. And what about enemas in general? So an enema is a different thing than a colonic. Okay. And sometimes an enema can be very useful in a life-threatening condition. And you're all saying, what? And I'll tell you, if you have a case of severe dehydration, a water enema is the fastest way to rehydrate the person or the animal that's dying of dehydration. Because remember what we said about your colon and what Mr. Colon does? He absorbs water. That's his job. And sometimes if you have a person, and this would be like an apocalypse situation, but if you have somebody that needs fluids now and you don't have an IV, an enema will get fluids into them now, really fast. Okay. The colon is also good at absorbing, vitamins and other things. And so sometimes an enema can be a beneficial thing. Now, again, how often should you get an enema? Almost never, right? You almost never need an enema. Sometimes if a person is so bound up and so constipated, they'll do an enema and that can give them some relief. But a much better idea is to drink lots of water and eat lots of vegetables and greens and fiber. That's a much better idea. Okay. But sometimes people have health conditions that make it so that there's something wrong with their guts and they're not moving stuff out. Sometimes they have to do an enema. What about a coffee enema? Why is that a good idea? Well, or why does it do anything? I don't know if it's a good idea. Again, what's the natural thing? But what happens when you do a coffee enema? They put coffee into the large intestine. They have you lay on your side. And basically what that does is it makes that coffee lay right next to your liver, where the liver can absorb stuff, caffeine mostly, and that's very stimulating to the liver. Okay, and so that has similar benefits to taking some burdock or dandelion root. Personally, I'd rather take a little burdock or dandelion root. Okay, coffee also has some tannins in it, a lot of tannins, so that can sort of tone up the gut and stuff. But you'll get all those tannins putting it in the other end. And there's also lots of tannins in a bazillion other plants. It doesn't have to be coffee. Okay, so a coffee enema, probably not. But there are some, there was, I'm going to have a mental block now because I tried to think of his name. But there was a naturopath, had a big operation down in Mexico. Somebody will tell me who it is. It started with a G. What was his name? Gerson. Anyway, he did a lot of stuff with coffee enemas and had some quite remarkable success in specific cases with specific issues. Not for everybody, just for fun. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm following Arnold Earhart's mucusless diet, Warren says. I don't know what that is. I hope it's a good thing and you get to eat some food. Okay. And Kleiner Hote Rex, I'm butchering these names, I'm very sorry, says, cool that you know Earhart. I tried some of his stuff. Warren says, I'm just finishing Rational Fasting, which is probably a book. I don't know about that one either. Linda says, what about castor oil packs? Castor oil packs topically, is that what you're talking about? If that's what you're talking about, I think that's fine for the conditions that you do that for. Kiner Hawks, we're still talking about Earhart. I don't know anything about him. Melvin says, thanks, Doc, for all you do. Melvin, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Raphael says he's still talking about fatty liver and cysts, and hopefully we address that. Connie says, thank you, very informative. Denise says, it's always a pleasure, Doc. Kelly says, woohoo, thank you, Doc. You guys are sweet. Okay, not everyone gets woohoos on YouTube. Would a proper cleanse be good for autoimmune disease, Brenda asks. Might be, in some cases, yes. The most important thing I do for autoimmune disease, in my experience, is I do a leaky gut protocol. So, and you can go to the website and look into that, the leaky gut kit, and look, you can read about it. There's articles on the website. There's blog articles. Read the blog articles. Just do a search for leaky gut and you'll see all the blog articles. Leaky gut has a strong correlation with autoimmune disease. Okay. And that's a whole nother lecture topic. But basically what happens is you get disruptions between the cells in your gut. Food gets between the cells where it's not supposed to get, and your immune system sees it and says, holy cow, what's gluten? We better make antibodies. Holy cow, what's a tomato? We better make antibodies. Holy cow, what's fat and protein? We better make antibodies. And the next thing you know, your immune system's attacking your body, because unfortunately we're made out of fat and protein and things too, right? And so basically with leaky gut, your body sees things it never should have seen and develops antibodies and immune reactions to things it never should have developed immune reactions to, and it starts attacking you, which is bad. I do the leaky gut thing first. If somebody's really, in need of a cleanse, and again, my cleanse is a whole different mindset than what we've been talking about all night. But sometimes it's once a year or so, it's a good idea to clean things out and get things moving, support all the organs, get everybody healed and fed and doing their thing and happy. That's a good idea once a year or so. And like I've said several times tonight, you don't have to buy anything to do that. Just eat lots of natural, plant material and good healthy food, and not just veggies you buy at the store. Veggies you grew from heirloom seeds and weeds that were growing next to the veggies you grew. My wife and I Had a beautiful salad last night made out of dandelions and blue mustard weeds. That's all that was in it. Well, she put a tomato in it. That's all that was in it. Dandelions and blue mustard weeds that the grandkids picked. They brought us this beautiful bouquet of weeds, and we smooched them and ate them. The weeds, not the kids. Anyway, eat that stuff. It's good for you. All right. So, yeah, and anyway, on the autoimmune thing, the leaky gut protocol often markedly improves things. If you're going to do a cleanse and the leaky gut, do the cleanse first, then heal up your gut and get on that road. Okay. 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 Lisa says, thanks for your time. Thank you, Lisa, for your time. Your thoughts on cleansing radiation, treatment for cancer out of my system. There's no radiation in your system at all. Okay. Radiation is a form of electromagnetic radiation like light. It's only there for the second that it's there. The minute you turn off the switch, it's gone and there's nothing there. Okay. So you don't have to clean the radiation out of your body unless you've been eating plutonium. That's a bad idea. Okay. But there are some things you can do for heavy metals, and that's go to the website and look at the herbs. I have a formula called heavy metals. Go look at those guys. Corella, there's some guys in there that can help absorb some of that stuff. That's probably not what you're talking about. There are things, I will tell you this, if a person has had cancer, they do a lot of pharmaceuticals and a lot of chemotherapy and a lot of horrible drugs that are killing cancer and lots of other things. And sometimes that's what you do, and I'm not blaming you for doing that. But I'm going to give you two pieces of advice if you're doing chemotherapy. One is don't take any herbs to protect yourself from the chemotherapy during the chemotherapy. Otherwise, you're missing the point. Okay. If you take a lot of milk thistle, for example, it will completely inactivate all kinds of pharmaceuticals. Okay. And my feeling on pharmaceuticals, and especially chemotherapy, is if you're going to poison yourself, do it like you mean it. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, the point of chemo is to kill stuff. And if you protect everybody by taking a lot of milk thistle, you're taking those poisons and not getting the benefit. Does that make sense? Now, that's principle number one. Principle number two is the minute you're done with the chemo, take a lot of milk thistle, okay? To heal everybody and detox and help your guts not be so mad at you. And so I do think a cleanse is a great idea after that kind of experience. A cleanse is probably a good idea after the radiation, not because there's already any radiation, but because there's a lot of cell death, and that's a lot of toxins. And it'd be good for your kidneys and liver to be happier than usual and doing their job better than usual, which is what my cleanse is. Okay, that's how it works. It just makes your organs do what they're supposed to do and be happy about doing it. Okay, and so yeah, I think in a cancer case like that, if you've had a lot of radiation and killed a lot of things in there, not a bad idea to do a cleanse. If you had chemo after you're done with the chemo, absolutely a cleanse is a good idea, but not during the chemo. Okay, and also be aware that, and I usually say that this at the very beginning, but herbs and drugs can interact in ways that are often not great. Sometimes they help each other a lot. Sometimes the herb makes the drug work better, but sometimes that's a bad idea. Sometimes you got too much of a good thing, right? And so if you're combining pharmaceuticals and herbs, make sure you talk to somebody that really understands both before you do that. Okay. Vinny says, does the nutrients degrade or expire over the time? Does heat destroy the efficacy? So dry herbs last a year or two. Tinctures last years and years and years and years. I wouldn't worry about a tincture degrading. I mean, I think most of us will be dead before our tinctures aren't good for anything. But yeah, dry herbs are only good for a year or two. So if you've got herbs that are 3 or 4 years old, they're probably not very effective. Okay. And again, that depends on the herb, and it depends on what's in the herb that makes it effective, and yada yada, right? Okay. Guy, I assume it's Guy, maybe it's Guy Gulligan. Hi, Doc. I'll review the live coverage because I'm working while listening. Thanks a lot. All right. Send me an email at info and I'll send you the slides. info@homegrownherbalist.net. The Proverbs Mom says thanks. Thank you, Proverbs Mom. You've been wonderful tonight. You've had a lot of really good questions. Debbie, I bought the cleanse. Will cider vinegar be considered a fermented item? If it's so, she's talking about in the cleanse of mine. There's one part, if you want, that you can do a candida cleanse, and I say lay off the fermented stuff for a week or two while you're doing this. And yeah, I would lay off even the good fermented stuff for a week or two while you're doing it. Okay, because there can be sometimes some yeasty guys in there, and I just wouldn't. There's no reason to complicate things. I've been growing microgreens, Sally says. Have read they are full of nutrition, as full of the nutrition as the mature plant. Is that true? Well, I think microgreens can have tons of nutrition in them. Absolutely. Because they're coming from the seed right away, and they still have a lot of the nutrients that they needed to start their life. So they're very dense in nutrition. If you're talking about sprouts, otherwise, greens are greens, and I mean, eat them up. That's a great idea. Something I really like about wild things that grow in the dirt is they get micro minerals that are in the dirt. Okay, so I like that. I worry a little bit about some of these hydroponic garden systems because we're giving the plants things to make them big and green and beautiful and tasty, but are they really getting all the nutrients and things in them that that we ought to have? You know what I mean? All right. Okay. Okay. Ever Washington says, is there anything herbal that can help heal granulomas naturally? I haven't done anything with granulomas herbal that I don't think there is. I think if you have a significant granuloma, you probably just need to get it cut off, and then you can heal up the hole with some herbs. That'd be good. But no, I don't think there's anything I'm aware of. Certainly don't put any black salve on it. That's a bad idea. But no, I don't. I think that's a surgical thing. Sometimes a knife is the best way to go. Nathan says hi from Arizona. Hello, Nathan. Raphael says thanks, and I hope you get feeling better, Raphael. I really do. That's hard. Morgan Lindstrom, when I take milk thistle a few days in a row, I get boils. Oh, mercy. Is this because I need to do the colon, small intestine, gallbladder before I take these? And the toxins are just getting reabsorbed? Well, there could be two reasons that you're getting boils from milk thistle. One could be that you have a sensitivity to milk thistle, and maybe you shouldn't take it, if you're allergic or something. It's probably not because your guts are plugged up, but like I said before, it is a very good idea to clean your guts out before you make your liver, produce more bile and clean itself out. But I doubt very much that the boils are secondary to that. I would guess that the boils are more likely a personal antipathy that your body has to milk thistle. So substitute that with cleavers, and maybe that'll be better. Okay. Okay. Barbara says, my husband's had an itchy rash on his chest and neck for about a year now. He did your cleanse, has been taking nutritive formula and liver tincture. Also tried topical salves and lotions. Okay. Yeah, that's no fun. So, what you might look at, because he's already doing the liver stuff. Why is he taking liver stuff for a rash, you ask? Well, because a lot of times when people have a rash, most of the time, in fact, psoriasis and eczema especially, it's because their liver's grumpy. But sometimes it's also just an allergic thing. And maybe what he ought to do is try some, go a different tack. And maybe he ought to try some antihistamine herbs like brigham tea, or nettles or eyebright, some of those guys. I have a formula called histamine, but even just some straight brigham tea might be a really good idea. See what that is. And the other thing is that I think is a really great idea is to get a diagnosis. Go to the doctor and find out what the heck's going on, because he might know what's going on. I think doctors are phenomenal at diagnosing things, and they're really good mechanics, right? I had a brain tumor a year ago. I was really glad I knew a nice guy that could cut that rascal out. It wasn't cancer or anything, but it was making me blind. I had this benign, happy Vienna sausage growing in my head for fun. But go to the doctor and get a diagnosis. And then when he pulls out his prescription pad, run, but, and if you get some information, shoot me an email, if he tells you it's this or that, well, then we can bark up the right tree, Okay. Judy says, I've done all those cleanses mentioned in an effort to heal from mycotoxin and mold illness. Also did a 5-day water fast, even though I experienced pain in my lower back after day 3. Now I know better, Judy says. Judy, I'm so sorry you went through all those things. And I'm sorry you went through the mold thing too. That's so hard. Wow. All right. Barbara. Oh, she's still talking about the rash. I put him on the Whole30 diet as well. Still has the rash. Try some antihistamine stuff. Try some Brigham tea. And if that doesn't work, that tells us things too. You know what I mean? All right. Pam says, you're amazing, Doc. Thanks so much. Thank you, Pam. How does a cleanse affect someone who has lupus and is taking medications to help control it? Okay, well, I would have to know specifically what medications and what kind of cleanse you're doing. If you're doing our cleanse system, I'd have to know exactly what medications. And sometimes I tell people who are on certain medications, no, don't do this herb. I mean, I do that a lot. I mean, that's half of my nature practice is telling people what they shouldn't take as an herb, because they're on this med that they need, and they don't play well together. So I would need to know that. That's a whole different subject. Shoot me an email. Okay. But again, with the lupus, Nathan, the leaky gut thing is the first thing I would do. But again, I would want to know what meds the person's on. Okay. Judy says, I'm excited about the Dr. Jones cleanse. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Judy. I'm glad you're excited. Blue mustard is the bomb. I love that stuff. Yeah, it's a great weed. And then we have a lot of links to pornographic websites. That's fun. Thank you for that. Evan can delete those. Sean, oh, he said they're gone already. Good. You're not seeing them. I'm just seeing the links. I'm not seeing any pictures or anything. Sean says, thanks for your wisdom, Doc. I'll get on it. Good. I'm glad we could help. Mary says, what causes dry herbs to degrade in a year's time? Well, they just break down. I mean, the chemicals just break down. They're volatile oils, and some of them don't at all. Some of them are still great, in a long time. But some of the oils, especially if there's any essential oil elements, and some of those chemicals just aren't very stable, and so they don't last very long. And it's not that the herbs turn into something bad or poison if they're dried. It's just that they get weaker. Okay. So alcohol is a phenomenal preservative. And so the best way, if you want herbs long term, if you want to put herbs on your shelf and have them still be good for something in 10 years, make a tincture, right? And make the tincture the first day, not after they've been sitting around for 2 years and you feel bad that they're going to get wasted. Make the tincture with good herbs. And speaking of which, if I can make another shameless commercial announcement, we just came out. I did a thing down in, I don't even remember where I was. It's been a long month. I've done a couple of conventions. I don't remember where they are. I did one in Sandy. And then before that, I did one somewhere else. Where was that, Evan? Somewhere in Utah. Layton. Anyway, I had 2 or 3 people come up and say, for crying out loud, Doc, why don't you make a big kit that has everything in it? So I don't have to keep buying stuff. And so I thought, oh, okay. So we made a big kit called the Bunker Buster Herb Kit. And it has an enormous amount of tinctures in it. There's nothing in that kit that doesn't have a really long shelf life. Go have a look at that thing. The Bunker Buster Kit on homegrownherbalist.net. It has tons of, about anything you need to fix about anything. So anyway, if you want something to put in your bunker or your closet that'll still be good a long time from now, do that. Okay. What herb, Runnerman says, would promote an increased metabolism? Well, there are some herbs that'll do that. The ginsengs will do that. A lot of the liver herbs will do that. Burdock will do that. Chickweed, if you're talking about losing weight, chickweed will do that. They say, I haven't ever tried it, but they say it helps burn fat. Anyway, the other thing is dietary changes. Blue mustard isn't an herb, but if you ate a lot of it, it would improve your metabolism because it would clean things out and get things moving, and it would make your systems know what to do. The thing is, when we eat things, every single thing we eat, including every pharmaceutical that we put in our mouth, our body says, oh, okay, what plant is that like? How shall I metabolize that? Which plant enzyme metabolism pathway should I put this on? Right? I mean, we're designed to eat plants. We're designed to eat little furry animals too. They're delicious. But I mean, we're designed to eat, complex green carbohydrates. That's what we're designed to eat. And so, even just doing that would improve metabolism and help with weight loss and energy and all the things. Let your body eat the way, pretend you're 1,000 years ago. What would you eat? Eat that stuff. Okay. Put blue mustard and dandelions on your salad. Okay. Okay. Ever says, thanks for answering my question and for everything else you do for everyone. Thanks for having questions and for sharing your time with us, Ever. Okay. Kleiner T Hex says, dang, I forgot to put cleavers in my tea, but they don't like boiling water much anyway, right? Yeah. I don't boil them. I don't boil herbs. I make the hot water, I boil the water, then I turn it off, and then I throw the herbs in. I don't ever cook the herbs. Some herbs could care less. I mean, you can boil elderberry for an hour. It won't care at all. It won't hurt the medicine at all. But some of them, it wipes them out. So I just don't do anybody. All my herbs are powdered. I dry them and I grind them up in a blender so they're powdered. And I think if the old eclectics had had a Vitamix blender to make powder out of everything, they would never have done decoctions when they were boiling stuff for a long time. The only reason they boil stuff for a long time is to get the medicine out of dense materials like roots and tree bark and stuff, But if it's powdered, poof, the stuff's out. It's the hot water, So there's no reason to boil them for a long time. Okay, as soon as they're cool enough to drink, they're ready. Okay. Alisa says, I'm surprised you're not aware of the great herbalists whose shoulders I walk upon. You might wish to focus on the plethora of research in the Fatty Liver Summit. I would love to focus on the plethora of research in the Fatty Liver Summit. I'll do that. Barbara says, thanks. I'll try the Brigham tea. Alice says, ibuprofen causes fatty liver, and I don't doubt that at all. Okay. I don't doubt that at all. A lot of the chemistry that we're putting into our bodies is horrible for our livers and horrible for our bodies. And if somebody showed me a paper that said ibuprofen contributed to fatty liver, I'd say, oh, yeah. I mean, I could believe that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Antoinette says, I just had teeth implants put in. Should I metal cleanse? And if so, how often? Yeah, so it depends what metals they put in there, right? But yeah, I know that dental fillings can be a big problem, especially the old stuff. I don't even know what they're putting in now. I'm not really up to speed on that. But there's a lot of ways to do chelations and cleanses and things to pull stuff out, and I don't think that's a bad idea. On here, Alyssa, she says absolutely. Yep, I agree. Okay, Carrie Ann Madden. What do you do for a black widow bite? What I do is I do the venom and sting formula that we have. Look at the herbs in there. It's just equal parts dandelion, echinacea, plantain, and dandelion root. Oh, I said that twice. Marshmallow. Dandelion root, echinacea, marshmallow root, and plantain. That's what's in it. Anyway, that's what I put it on topically, take it internally. That formula was designed principally for recluse, brown recluse, and hobo bites and rattlesnake bites, which I've used it on a lot. In my veterinary practice, I've used it on a lot of rattlesnake bites. In my human practice, I've used it on a lot of hobo bites and brown recluse bites. Well, hobo bites, we don't have a lot of brown recluse around here, but it's the same venom. But we've also had folks use it on black widows and said it was much better and helped a lot. So, okay. Kelly says, I would buy that t-shirt. I love it. There's 2 of them we can sell, Evan. All right. Any suggestions for uterine fibroids? Send me an email. I have a formula for that, but that's hard and complicated too. shoot me an email. Kleiner Hex talking about the Black Widow says plantain poultice tea tincture, eat it. But I'm sure the doc has some other good herbs. Yeah, absolutely. Plantain just by itself is a rock star for stings and bites, and topically and internally. And that would probably do the trick on a Black Widow. The reason I put the echinacea in the other venoms is because it inhibits the tissue destruction from the hyaluronidase, the enzyme that dissolves your flesh by it dissolves the glue that holds your cells together, hyaluronic acid. But echinacea is in the venom and sting formula for that, but that's not an issue with the Black Widows. So the plantain just by itself would be great. All right, and heck, I've got a very good friend who got bitten on the hand by a rattlesnake. He was literally in a loincloth. He's a wilderness survival guy climbing Snake River Canyon, and he reached up and got bit by a rattlesnake, and his hand swelled up like a volleyball. And all he had was plantain. He's 4 days walk from nowhere, and he poulticed it, and he ate it and ate it and ate it, and he poulticed it some more, and he ate it and ate it and ate it, chewed it up and poulticed, spit poultice, to break it up and get the chemicals out of the plant. But he said the next day all the swelling was gone and he was fine, so that's plantain's an astoundingly good herb for toxins. All right. Ever Washington says, what would be a good herbal substitute for someone that's allergic to milk thistle? Cleavers is another good restorative for the liver. That's probably what I would use. But there's a lot of other good liver guys. Liver tonics, and burdock is a fabulous one. I love burdock. But cleavers has more of the restorative effects like milk thistle has. Chamomile also has some of those effects. Look at that liver builder formula. Look at the other kids that are in that formula. Okay. Pam says, I think I made a tincture. I put a tablespoon of vodka in some raw chopped plant material, lavender, stirred it around and covered it with olive oil. It is a great skin treatment. Is it a real tincture? No, it's a real, it's sort of a cross between an infused oil and a tincture. And it would certainly work. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what you did. The alcohol will pull the chemicals out of the lavender, which is what you want, and the oil will make it nicer on your skin. So yeah, a real tincture would just be alcohol. Although real old school herbalists, like 1800s herbalists, will sometimes use the term tincture for, glycerites and infused oils and alcohol tinctures. But modern fancy herbalists only use it for alcohol tinctures, for alcohol extracts. Okay. So Poor But Clean waves, and I say hello back. And then she says, would cleansing help with fibromyalgia and weakness? So again, this is sort of similar. We've had a couple of other autoimmunity and lupus folks asking. And I, depending on the case, sometimes I'll have folks do a mild, good cleanse. But mostly what I do with fibromyalgia cases, if I'm going to do a cleanse, I do that first. But the main thing I do with all of them is I do that leaky gut protocol. And that seems to help a lot of them. If the leaky gut protocol is not enough, then there's some herbal things I do that can help too. Okay. But a lot of times the leaky gut brings things to healing the leaky gut brings things to a level that, that things are much better. So, all right. Kelly says, is the merch store on a different website? I want to buy gifts for my peeps. What's like the t-shirt store? Is that what she's talking about, Evan? Is that a merch store? Oh, okay. So Evan says that YouTube is selling our shirts, which is friendly of them. I wasn't aware. I hope they send me $1 or something. Yeah, the merch store is apparently something else. So if there's a button or something, apparently they're making all those shirts and drop shipping them, and it has really very little to do with us, except they might give us a little royalty or something. Anyway, Poor But Clean says, I think I have ulcers. So there are some things that can be done for ulcers. Some of my favorite herbs for ulcers are calendula and comfrey together. Cayenne also, believe it or not, can be very effective for ulcers. That's completely counterintuitive. I feel like I've got fire in my belly. I guess I'll take some fire. But cayenne has some profound effects on ulcers. So that can be good too. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions. Well, I am very, very grateful for your time and attention and your support and your friendship and your, you know what? Just the fact that you're willing to, listen and share ideas and hear things. I'm very, very grateful. And I would be very, very grateful if you taught other people things, right? That would be great. And one of the ways to do that is we can subscribe and like and share and do all the YouTube-y things people do. Faye says, how do I resume the Herb School program? What's the website? I've been out of the loop for a couple of months. We haven't changed the platform. We're about to change the platform of the school. But Faye, it's the same way it's always been. I'll shoot you an email, okay, with all the instructions and stuff so you can do it. Faye Parker, I can do that. What is the rate for bentonite clay and leaky gut? Marianne says, so I do have bentonite clay in the leaky gut kit, and it's just sort of a rounded spoonful of that stuff. And basically what bentonite clay does is it absorbs a lot of the things mechanically that would like to go between the cells in your guts and make you mad, right? That's what it's doing. Bentonite clay is a good absorber of bad stuff. And so one of the things it can do from a cleansing standpoint, it's not really cleansing, it's really preventing contamination, right? Because your guts are full of bad things sometimes. And like we said, the colon can reabsorb those, but it has a hard time reabsorbing them if they're tied up with bentonite clay or if they're tied up with marshmallow, right? Marshmallow gets things all goobered up and tangled too. Okay. So you have a few more questions here. Huva Phillips says, dogs and allergies, if it's not too off topic, help please. I do. So I've been a veterinarian for 30 years. Okay. I've been an herbalist for a long time too. And I've treated about everything you can think of in a dog with herbs. Usually when I treat dogs with herbs, it's a slam dunk. You push the button and the buzzer goes off. Everything works. It's very predictable. Allergies are different. And the reason they're different is because a lot of the dogs that have allergies have plant allergies. And so sometimes you give the herbs and the lady comes back and thinks you're the smartest guy in the world. And sometimes they come back and nothing happened, right? Because you're trying to treat a plant allergy with plants. So that doesn't work. I've never had it make it worse, but I have had it not work. I would consider, first of all, I would do a food elimination trial. Try feeding him stuff, because sometimes it's a food allergy. So feed him something weird. Go to PetSmart or somewhere big that has all kinds of dumb kinds of flavors of dog food. Get something that has no chicken, no beef, and no corn. So get some lemon rice or some duck and sweet pea or some, aardvark and sweet potatoes. I don't know, something weird, okay, that he's never seen before. Give him only that to eat for a few weeks and see if that changes anything. If it doesn't, then he's probably got allergies to all kinds of things. They usually do. Sometimes it's a flea allergy. Sometimes it's everything else, plants, dust mites, everything. And those guys are hard to fix with plants. So, I do antihistamine herbs like Brigham tea. There's a formula called histamine on the website that I use sometimes. And I do liver support stuff because the liver is the organ that gets rid of, histamines. So if you can get rid of them faster, you have fewer symptoms. But like I say, allergies in dogs, and I don't have this problem in humans as much, but for some reason in dogs, the plants often aren't as effective for allergies as all the other herbs I use for all the other things. We do have a brand new website. Speaking of dogs, if anyone's interested, we have a new website called herbpet.com. And I did a YouTube video a week or two ago. Look at the channel. There's some dog stuff on there. But I find all the formulas on homegrownherbalist.net can be used in dogs. When I developed them, I developed them so you could give them to your dog or your cat or your horse or whatever, and it would be safe. But I did make some more refined formulas just for the dogs and cats, and they're on herbpet.com. So swing by there and buy lots of things that'll make us both happy. Okay. Okay. Kelly says, much love and light and blessings to you. Brenda says, as a homegrown herbalist student, I'm learning so much and greatly appreciate your straightforward approach to health. And she says, Nanas Kotam, which is grateful in Cree. Fun. And she says, thanks to the family and others. Thank you, Brenda. We're so glad to have you along and be on that journey with you. I have the best students in the whole world. I love them to pieces. Okay. Kleiner Rote Hex. I'm going to get your name right before we're done. Says, you're so much fun to listen to. Mostly it's fun to listen to me try and say whatever the name is there. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Poor but clean, where can I contact you with a list of my ailments? I have a lot of herbs, but I usually just make tea. I need instructions too. Send an email to info@homegrownherbalist.net and we'll see if we can help you. The Copper Lotus, my 2.5 son got a diagnosis from the doctor of acute cerebellar ataxia from a virus. Is there a cleanser and herb that can speed up his healing? I would need a lot more information on that, what he's doing, what he's got going on, what meds he's on. But shoot me an email. Dogs and chronic yeast ear infections from Amy. So almost always, if a dog has chronic ear infections, it's almost always an allergy. So all the things we just said to the other lady, try some histamine formula, try some just straight Brigham tea and see if that helps. Try an elimination diet. But until you manage the allergies, you'll never manage the ear infections, okay? Because with dogs, the cells that release histamines, that's why you get allergy symptoms, is because you got too many histamines. That's why you take an antihistamine drug, right? In humans, those histamines tend to be heavily concentrated in our mucous membranes of our eyes and our lungs and our noses. And so when we're allergic, we wheeze and sneeze and bawl, right? In dogs, those histamine-releasing cells are heavily concentrated in the skin, and they're really heavily concentrated for some reason in the feet and in the ears. So when dogs have allergies, they don't sneeze. They chew their paws and they get an ear infection, okay? So if you have a chronic ear infection, get the allergy managed. And then you can do things for the ear infection. I mean, you can make a calendula tea and clean out his ears, and that'll kill the bacteria and the fungus. But it'll be back in a week if he has allergies. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get to the core of the problem. Okay. Homesteading at Cooker Gay Herft says, good to see you, Doc. I just told a Telegram group about this video. Oh, that's fantastic. I don't know what a Telegram group is, but it sounds wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for telling your friends. Rough Hewn Homestead says, I'm late. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so the good news is it'll be on YouTube and you can watch it. All right. Morgan says, I'm planning on doing the school soon. I really like your approach. Well, we would love to join you on that journey, Morgan. It's the school really is remarkable. I have, medical doctors and herbalists that are master herbalists from other big programs, all kinds of people, moms, all kinds of amazing, talented people. And, we have like 2,500 students on every continent except Antarctica, literally. And we're doing some outreach to the penguins. We're trying to help them know that some of those seaweeds just off the coast are medicinal, but we're not having a lot of luck in Antarctica. But everywhere else, people are really happy with the program and learning a lot, sharing a lot, teaching us a lot. You have lifetime access forever. I'm constantly adding new stuff, and we just have a lot of fun. And the thing is absurdly cheap. Most schools that have anywhere near our content are $4,000 or $5,000. Okay, ours is $899 because I'd rather make more herbalists than more money. I'll make the same money. I could charge $5,000 or $6,000 for it. I'd make exactly the same money because hardly anybody would buy it. But when they did, I'd make a lot of money, but I'd rather make 10 herbalists than one. See, that's why I'm doing this. And you have lifetime access. I was talking to a lady just this weekend who's involved in another very prominent herb school that she spent $5,000 on, and her enrollment expired. She got busy and distracted and couldn't deal with it. She had a lot of stuff going on in her life and ran out of time. And they told her to jump in a lake. They had the $5,000 and she wasn't allowed in because it was a contractual agreement for a limited time. And I thought, wow, that's just wow. So our school always has been lifetime access for everything and dumb cheap, so come on in. And we have more of a Hotel California attitude with our school. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Okay. And we have a student forum, a discussion forum, and there's all kinds of students on there that graduated years ago. They pop in and, somebody's talking about what plant is this? What do I do for that? They're all chiming in. We're all talking about it. So it's great. And I need to be there more because I learn things. But anyway, great program. We'd love to have you. All right. Okay. Kleinerote Hex. You just about got it last time. Translated, it would be Little Red Witch because I'm little. I used to have red hair as a kid, and because herbal women were considered witches way back when. There you go. So if it's German, it's probably Kleinerote Hex. Is that right? All right. Anyway, my German's better than my English on some of these words. I didn't know we were cheating and saying German words. All right. Carmen Hernandez, how would I cleanse the plaque from my arteries? There are some herbs can help with that. Garlic is really good, actually. Helps with cholesterol and plaque. Cleaning up the diet, exercising, things like that. But yeah, raw garlic would be great. Or dried garlic powder. We have a formula. Do I even have that formula anymore? I used to have a formula called cholesterol. We may have discontinued it because nobody was buying it. But anyway, garlic is a good one. Sherry Lee says, love your webcast. It's full of great information. Thank you. Rough Hewn Homestead, I tinctured some of your histamine powder and I'm using it. It's relieving my spring pollen allergies. Yeah, that histamine formula. I love that stuff when I'm having stuff. Okay, Kelly Jordan says, welcome to Homegrown Herbalist YouTuber. All right. She signed up for a membership. Kelly Jordan just signed up for a membership on our YouTube channel. Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, that's very sweet of you. I appreciate that so much. Okay. Yeah, so the members of the channel, there's a little very modest, kind fee they pay to help us with all our production expenses so we can keep doing fun things like this. Port McComb says she's saving up for the course now. I want to heal my family. God bless you, That's exactly why I want you to do it, so that you can heal people and love people and take care of people. That's why we're doing all this. Okay. So, all right. Yeah, Rough Hewin's laughing about the Hotel California reference. Okay. Poor but Clean says the garlic gives her a bellyache. So shoot me an email. I'll give you that formula. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining us. And, if you have a chance to like and subscribe and share and teach other people stuff, boy, I would sure be grateful. And that would help other folks too. I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. God gave us amazing bodies. He gave us amazing resources to feed and heal and take care of those bodies. Don't make it complicated. Don't make it miserable. It doesn't have to be that way. There are ways to clean and support and heal and make your body happy. Think of it more as a tune-up than a roto-rooter process, okay? It doesn't have to be miserable and hurt. So I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. And Faye, I have forgotten your last name. You were the one having the hard time with the school. I can find you. I don't suppose I have too many Fays. Anyway, or I can maybe scroll back through these and find them. Anyway, if anybody's in the school and, life happens and you don't do it for 6 months and you forget your password or whatever, shoot me an email, info@homegrownherbals.net. We'll get you back in. But I think I can find you if you're Faye. I know it's Faye. We'll find her, and I'll send you an email. Nurse Betty says, "Hi, OMG, are you really live? This is wonderful. Thank you for everything. I had a horrible headache and wasn't going away, and watching your video made my headache go away. Oh, good. I'm glad. Now I'm having this horrible memory loss in my 30s, and I can't figure out what to do. I have a formula, memory and alertness. Try that one. All right. So, Dr. Patrick Jones, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing and doing all those things. And thanks for spending the time to listen and learn some things. And I hope and pray that you've learned something worthwhile, and that I really hope and pray that you'll teach somebody else something worthwhile. That would be a blessing to me and a blessing to them. So thanks very much, and have a good night.